Ladies and gentlemen, this is reaction. This is The Plague That Made People Dance Until They Died by the channel Simple History. I remember this from Salmonella video. This is going to be fun. A fun topic. An unexplained phenomenon, outbreak of this so-called dancing mania involved groups of people dancing erratically and uncontrollably, sometimes in their hundreds or even thousands. Like a disease, the mania would spread from town to town, even countries to countries, as if it were contagious. Holy shit, it spread from countries to countries. Historical records are sometimes very detailed about these outbreaks, which affected men, women, and children, dancing often until they collapsed from exhaustion or injuries. Holy shit, right? I mean, that is just surprising. Like, what could it be? Is it some kind of a virus, right? Or is it some kind of a, psychological issue? Because I don't know, if it's some kind of a psychological event, why would it spread to everyone, right? So it has to be some kind of a thing like virus, right? So I don't know. It just went from town to town and even countries for countries. Holy shit. And imagine thousands of people just dancing and, almost crying because they don't want to dance and just collapsing, dying in the end. And that would be a terrifying sight. So let's watch this one. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out other reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the khas for place. Yeah, let's watch it.
This episode is made possible by Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners were being called lairds, lords, or ladies in English. We recommend that you check out Established Titles, where buying as little as 1 square feet of allocated land in Dunfermline, Scotland will earn you the right to be called a lord or a lady, a custom-made certificate with a crest proving your title, as well as a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. By getting this certificate, you could officially change your name to Lord or Lady.
Alright, doesn't that get a bit too much? If anybody can just buy 1 square foot of land and then just, how many people are going to buy land then? Isn't that a logistical nightmare?
Get this printed on credit cards, plane tickets, and dating profiles. Established Titles will commit to plant a tree for every order you make to protect the pristine and alluring woodlands and preserve the picturesque scenery and biodiversity of Scotland. It is a new and fun way to support conservation efforts, where we join hands with the global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to increase awareness in environment preservation. If you've ever been unsure of what to give someone special to you, or you want something totally different and unique, grant them an official title of a lord or a lady through Established Titles. Join the selected few that walk this path before you and use our special link in the description below and use the discount code SIMPLE10 to get an additional 10% off and become a lord or lady today. The plague that made people dance until they died. Medieval Europe between the 14th and 17th centuries. Europe during the Middle Ages was a time of great hardships. Nearly endless wars led to frequent famines. As the 17th century philosopher Thomas Hobbes famously said, life, particularly for the peasantry, was unusually nasty, brutish, and short. One of the peculiar ways in which...
holy shit, that paints a picture in your head, doesn't it? Around that time, all the wars and shit, right? Basically, it creates such a bad environment that diseases are so frequent, famines are so frequent, right? The whole condition is bad, so everybody's getting sick left and right. Because that's, sickness breeds in bad conditions like that. So obviously people are too religious at the point, right? Because what else you going to do? If you're not going to pray to God, who else you're going to pray to now? Because nobody else is caring. Nobody, your king and whatever is not caring. They just care about their political agendas, right? Armies come from foreign lands, basically sack lands, vice versa, every time that happens. And that's just fucked up, right? Around this time, the life was really fucked up. And then this shit happens.
It appears the peasantry of the Middle Ages dealt with these hardships was through a bizarre phenomenon known as choreomania. The term is derived from the Greek words choros, meaning to dance, and mania, meaning madness or compulsion. Historical records from the 14th to the 17th century documents periods of dancing mania so frequently that they can't be dismissed as mere rumor or exaggeration. Outbreaks of this so-called dancing mania involve groups of people dancing erratically and uncontrollably, sometimes in their hundreds or even thousands. Like a disease, the mania would spread from town to town and even country to country as if it were contagious. Historical records are sometimes very detailed about these outbreaks, which affected men, women, and children, dancing often until they collapsed from exhaustion or injuries. The first sparsely recorded outbreak of dancing mania is actually from the 11th century, where on Christmas Eve in 1021, people are said to have danced en masse in the German town of Kulbeck. A couple hundred years later in Erfurt, another incident was recorded, and around the same time in Maastricht, it was said that 200 people fell to their death while dancing on a bridge that collapsed under their weight.
What the fuck?
However, the first well-documented outbreak of dancing mania was in 1374 in the German town of Aachen. For reasons that are unclear, the people of Aachen started to dance involuntarily. They moved frantically until near the point of total.
Holy shit, this is terrifying to see. If you're there and seeing this, damn. Look, here's what I'm thinking. It could be a virus, but I think it's more likely to be some kind of a poison, right? Poisoned water supply or something like that. Or even, who knows, maybe early stages of biological warfare by some country. Not lab style biological warfare, but maybe some kind of a substance that they know has a hallucinogenic effect like this. They would probably infect the enemy's lakes or something, just so that population basically, I guess, weakened by dying like this, so they could just take over or something. Who the fuck knows? Poison seems more like it to me rather than some virus. Because, if it was a virus, I guess we would have found some form of trace of it. But I think poison seems more like it. There are lots of hallucinogenic things that are in the world. So maybe some of them causes this thing. And, contaminated water supply makes sense that everybody gets affected.
Exhaustion. Within weeks, this strange compulsion has spread like the plague to the Netherlands and northeast of France. Hundreds of people uncontrollably jumped, leapt, and twitched for days. Another well-documented outbreak happened 100.
See, that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe virus thing is credible in the form that it spread from place to place. Because if it's just contaminated water supply in certain place, how would it spread from place to place, right? I mean, people cannot spread hallucinogenic poisons or something from them. Viruses can be spread like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of a virus. This is really effed up, man.
150 years later in France, there was a woman called Frau Trophea who started dancing in the city of Strasbourg in July of 1518 for weeks on end. She was gradually joined by more and more people, and the situation escalated when the city authorities provided a stage and hired musicians for bringing the bizarre crisis to an end. Once the first dancers started their strange ritual, however, others joined in, claiming to be overwhelmed.
I know how to stop the dancing. Yeah, let's bring musicians in.
By a compulsion. A manuscript in the city's archive of the time offers a glimpse of the scale of the epidemic that followed. It reads, "There has been a strange epidemic lately going amongst the folk, so that many in their madness began dancing, which they kept up day and night without interruption until they fell unconscious. Many have died of it." While seemingly improbable, dozens of medieval sources from different towns mention both the 1374 and the 1518 incidents. The latter was even mentioned in the city of Strasbourg's municipal orders, and it is clear from these records that during both incidents, the people afflicted by this dancing mania were not simply shaking from some unknown plague, but actually dancing, albeit involuntarily. They were obviously in great physical and mental pain as well. The records detail that most of those with dancing mania also had horrible hallucinations and could be heard praying for absolution in the middle of their dancing fits. Often they barely ate or slept.
I don't know if it's not plague, not some kind of a virus. How do you account for, it spread from countries to countries? Because poisons don't spread like that, right? Poison in certain place can only affect that place. People cannot spread poison like that. So is this some kind of a psychological phenomenon that we can't understand? Like there are certain things that every mind is susceptible to. So if everybody catches it, basically, even if they don't want, they just start to dance and die like that. This is really effed up.
Slept, and sometimes they were not even fully conscious of their actions. The theories of what actually happened to cause these epidemics varied across the centuries. Some blamed religious beliefs and demonic possession. Others suggested the existence of a dancing cult, while others blamed them on mass poisonings, which caused hallucinations and shaking. One of the most bizarre...
See, poisoning makes sense to me in a way, like virus acting like this, it's a bit weird, but it's possible, right? I mean, why can't it be like, okay, some virus basically affecting mind like that? It's not unheard of, like rabies, turn people really feral because it affects the mind in that sense, right? So virus makes sense, but I don't know. We've never encountered something like that, no virus like that. So it could be, but poison makes more sense. But then again, poison doesn't spread from country to country. So maybe it's some kind of a, like I said, psychological phenomenon. I mean, it could be, but affecting everyone, this kind of a success ratio where it affects thousands, countries by countries, I don't know.
And yet widespread contemporary explanations was that the dancing mania was brought on by a curse from St. John the Baptist, or in other places, St. Vitus. Why or how either of these dead saints could have made such a curse is unclear, but so common was the belief that in many places the dancing mania was actually named after them, as in St. John's Dance or St. Vitus's Dance. In Italy, the dancing mania was sometimes called tarantism, and it was believed to be brought on by either a spider bite or a dangerous poison. Later on, as medical science evolved, a similar condition to dancing mania was labeled Sydenham chorea, but this disorder was thought to only affect children, causing them to have involuntary tremors in the arms, legs, and face. In 1888, a German gentleman named Justus Friedrich Karl Hecke
Tremors is different from actually dancing, man.
wrote a fairly comprehensive account of the dancing mania phenomenon entitled The Black Death and the Dancing Mania. In it, he imaginatively describes what he calls St. John's Dance as follows. They formed circles hand in hand and, appearing to have lost all control over their senses, continued dancing, regardless of the bystanders, for hours together in wild delirium, until at length they fell to the ground in a state of exhaustion. They then complained of extreme oppression and groaned, which they again recovered and remained free from complaint until the next attack. Modern researchers believe the outbreaks were most likely examples of mass psychogenic illness triggered by fear and depression. Both of the most well-documented manias of 1374 and 1518 were preceded by particularly bad periods of devastating famine, crop failures, and disease. Anxiety and fear, combined with a religious belief that such hardships were the result of God punishing them for their wrongdoing, made people, according to this theory, susceptible to mass delusions that may have gave them some reprieve from their dire situations.
Yeah, mass delusion feels like a cop-out answer to me. I don't know. It has to be something, right? I won't say mass delusion. Maybe some kind of a psychological effect. I think, when he said that, that kind of makes sense to me, that this particular period was really effed up. Conditions were really bad. Famine was around, right? People had really bad health. At the same time, they were also, under stress, anxiety all the time, which also fucks up your body and your physiology, basically. So maybe there are certain type of viruses that thrive in conditions like that, that affects your mind like that. And since then, we can't find some virus like that today, because obviously we are not living in that conditions. So maybe the conditions were just right for certain type of viruses to thrive, because the way it spread, virus is the only thing that could be. Poisons don't spread like that. If it was just local, some town, poison makes sense, like contaminated water, like I said, but it went from countries to countries. It has to be some kind of virus. And just mass delusion doesn't make sense either. Maybe some brain phenomenon that we don't understand it yet, but one day we will. Like, the way our brain is wired, certain condition and certain particular things could trigger something in our brain that everybody would get affected by. So it's some kind of a, not virus, but some kind of a psychological phenomenon that happens to everyone if they see it or get caught by it. Maybe one day we might realize that that's the case. Who knows? But damn, this is really freaky. I'm just imagining, walking around to those towns and people just dancing and they're falling down, dying. People are praying because they don't know what else they're going to do. It's just really scary and after situation.
Ultimately, this too is just an educated guess. What is for sure, however, is that diagnosing a mass contagion from 500 years ago is not easy. We will probably never know what exactly caused the dancing mania of the Middle Ages, but the urge to dance away one's troubles isn't all that strange if you think about it.
He's just gonna play this? Don't do that. Alright. To me, it just has to be a virus. Maybe some virus that went extinct that we don't have today, right? So we don't know if that's or what. I don't know. This was a really weird phenomenon that kind of makes me, makes me want to do head scratch, like, what the fuck could it be? And we can't know about it since it's been centuries. But damn, when I reacted to Salmonella video months ago, even then I was like, what the fuck? But yeah. Overall, that was the plague that made people dance until they died by the channel Simple History. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the class word play, check out the end cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.